The massive ships moved through space like silent giants. Their dark hulls reflected no light as they drifted between the stars. Inside these vessels, creatures with pale blue skin and 4 arms studied glowing screens filled with data. They were the hegemony, rulers of 12 star systems and conquerors of 43 different species. Commander stood before the central display in his command ship. His large black eyes scanned the information about the discovery. A small yellow star with several planets orbited in what the aliens called Sector 7739. The third planet from the star showed signs of intelligent life. "What do we know about them?" asked his science officer. The shorter alien consulted his tablet. "They call themselves humans, Commander. We have watched them for 47 cycles. They appear to be a young species with basic technology. Chemical rockets for space travel, simple energy weapons, no shields or advanced armor." Nodded. 47 cycles was the standard observation period. It was enough time to understand any species completely. The hegemony had learned this through centuries of conquest. "Physical capabilities?" the commander asked. "Weak by galactic standards. They have soft skin with no natural armor. No telepathic abilities. They cannot breathe most atmospheric mixtures. They require a very specific temperature range to survive. Their bones break easily compared to other species." Another officer joined the conversation. "Their emotional control is also poor, Commander. They fight among themselves constantly. During our observation period, we recorded over 300 separate conflicts on their planet." His mouth curved in what humans would recognize as a smile. 300 conflicts in 47 cycles. They waste their energy fighting each other instead of building their civilization. How many ships do they have in space? "Less than 50, Commander. All primitive vessels that would pose no threat to even our smallest patrol craft. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Their speeds are laughably slow." The commander studied the data again. According to hegemony classifications, these humans fell into Category 3, minimal threat, high resource value. Their planet was rich in rare metals and had abundant water. The human population was large enough to provide excellent workers once properly trained. "Recommended force for integration?" asked. 3 dreadnoughts with standard support vessels, Commander. The planning committee believes even 1 dreadnought would be sufficient, but protocol requires 3 for any planetary integration. Agreed with the assessment. In the history of the hegemony, no species had ever required more than a basic show of force to surrender. Most civilizations took one look at hegemony technology and immediately submitted. The smart ones negotiated for better terms. The stubborn ones resisted for a few days before accepting reality. The humans would be no different. If anything, they seemed even less capable than most species the hegemony had encountered. Their technology was centuries behind galactic standards. Their disunity meant they could not organize effective resistance. Their physical weakness made them unsuitable for direct combat. "There is one interesting detail, Commander," the science officer added. "During our observation period, the humans experienced what they call world peace. For the first time in their recorded history, all major conflicts on their planet ceased. A sign of growing maturity," concluded. "They are finally learning to conserve their energy for productive purposes. This will make integration easier." The aliens did not understand what they had observed. The period they called world peace had not come from human maturity. It had come from exhaustion. Humanity had just emerged from their most destructive century in history. 2 world wars had killed over 100 million people. The Cold War had brought them to the edge of nuclear destruction. Smaller conflicts had raged across every continent. The peace the hegemony observed was not permanent. It was a pause. Humans were rebuilding, learning, and preparing. They had not stopped being violent. They had simply learned to be more efficient with their violence. But the hegemony saw only what they expected to see. a weak species finally learning to behave properly. They had no idea that human peace was often the calm before an even greater storm. Begin integration protocols, ordered. Standard terms. They will surrender 75% of their planetary resources to the hegemony. 30% of their population will be relocated for labor assignments. In return, they receive protection and guidance toward galactic citizenship. What if they refuse, Commander? His eyes reflected the cold light of the stars. They will not refuse. No species has ever been foolish enough to reject hegemony generosity. But if these humans prove unusually stupid, we will demonstrate why resistance is impossible. The hegemony had conquered 43 species using this exact method. Superior technology combined with overwhelming force broke the will of any civilization within days. The longest resistance in hegemony history had lasted 3 weeks, and that had been from a species with natural armor and energy weapons. The humans had neither. Orders went out to the fleet. 3 massive dreadnoughts prepared for departure. Each ship was 2 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to reduce a continent to ash. Their shields could absorb anything primitive species might throw at them. Their weapons had never failed to break enemy resistance. Supporting the dreadnoughts were 12 smaller vessels, troop transports, supply ships, and communication relays. Together, they formed a force that had never known defeat. As the fleet prepared to depart for human space, reviewed the intelligence reports one final time, everything confirmed the same conclusion. The humans were weak, divided, and primitive. This would be a simple operation, 3 weeks at most, probably less. The commander allowed himself to feel satisfaction. Another successful integration would improve his standing with the Hegemony Council. Perhaps they would finally give him command of a full sector. He had no way of knowing that he was about to make the greatest mistake in galactic history. The Hegemony's intelligence had been accurate but incomplete. They had observed humans during peacetime. They had never seen humans at war. They were about to learn the difference. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying their crews toward what they believed would be an easy victory. Behind them, Hegemony space continued its normal routines. Conquered worlds provided resources. Enslaved populations worked in mines and factories. The galaxy remained orderly and productive under alien rule. But change was coming. In a small yellow star system, a species that had never known alien contact was about to receive visitors. The outcome would reshape everything the galaxy thought it knew about power, technology, and the nature of civilization itself. The massive galactic era was about to begin. The alien fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Commander watched the blue-green planet grow larger on his viewing screen. Earth looked exactly like the intelligence reports had described, a water world with normal gravity and breathable atmosphere. "Begin scanning for defensive installations," he ordered. His tactical officer worked at the control panel. "I am detecting several space stations, Commander. Primitive design, no energy shields. Their weapons appear to be kinetic projectiles and basic missiles." "How many ships are approaching to intercept us?" "None, Commander. They are keeping their ships close to their planet." Was surprised. Most species sent their military forces to meet unknown visitors. It was either a sign of welcome or a show of strength. The humans were doing neither. "Open communication channels," the commander said. "Begin standard integration broadcast." The message went out in the human language. Hegemony translation computers had learned English during the observation period. The words were simple and direct. "People of Earth, you are now part of the galactic hegemony. You will provide 75% of your planetary resources for galactic development. 30% of your population will relocate to serve the greater good. In return, you receive protection and guidance. You have one rotation of your planet to respond. The message was broadcast to every communications device on Earth: radio, television, internet, satellite networks. Every human on the planet received the same ultimatum. Then they waited. Expected a quick response. Most species replied within hours. They either agreed immediately or asked for negotiations. Both responses led to the same result, but negotiating gave the conquered people a sense of participation in their fate. Hours passed with no reply. "Commander," his communications officer reported, "we are receiving massive amounts of radio traffic from the planet. However, none of it is directed at us." "What are they discussing?" "They appear to be organizing, Commander. Every government on the planet is communicating with every other government. Military forces are being mobilized. Industrial facilities are changing their production schedules." Frowned. This was unusual but not alarming. Many species tried to organize resistance before accepting reality. It was a normal part of the integration process. "Any requests for more time? Any counteroffers?" "No, Commander. They are not attempting to communicate with us at all." This was strange. In 43 previous integrations, every species had tried to negotiate. Even the most aggressive ones wanted to understand hegemony terms before fighting. The humans seemed to be ignoring the aliens completely. 24 hours passed. The deadline expired with no response from Earth. "Final warning," ordered. "Inform them that silence means rejection. Show them the consequences of defying the hegemony." The fleet moved closer to Earth. The massive dreadnoughts positioned themselves where every telescope on the planet could see them. Their size alone should have been enough to end any thoughts of resistance. Instead, something unexpected happened. Every military base on Earth activated simultaneously. Missile silos opened. Fighter aircraft launched. Naval ships left their ports. It was not the surrender response had ever seen before. "Commander, I am reading energy signatures from the planet's surface." "What kind of energy?" "Nuclear weapons, Commander. They are arming their entire nuclear arsenal." Confidence began to waver. No species had ever responded to first contact by preparing for nuclear war. Most civilizations understood that such weapons were useless against advanced technology. "Are they planning to attack us with nuclear missiles?" "I do not think so, Commander. The weapons appear to be targeting their own planet. Major cities, industrial centers, population centers." The commander stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "They are planning to destroy themselves rather than submit." "It appears so, Commander." This was completely outside hegemony experience. Every intelligent species valued survival above all else. When faced with superior force, they surrendered to preserve their lives. Self-destruction was not logical. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "we are receiving a transmission from Earth." "Finally, put it through." The main screen flickered and showed a human face. The creature had dark skin, gray hair, and wore what appeared to be military clothing. When it spoke, its voice was calm and steady. "I am Secretary General Martinez of the United Earth Defense Council. I speak for all nations and all peoples of our planet. We have received your ultimatum. Our response is simple: no." Leaned forward. "You refuse hegemony generosity. You choose destruction over integration." The human's expression did not change. "We choose freedom. You offer slavery. There is no negotiation possible." "You cannot resist us. Our technology is far beyond yours. Our weapons can destroy your planet from orbit. Submit now and your species will survive." "Our species will survive," the human replied, "but not as your slaves. If you attack us, we will make you pay for every inch of our world. If you try to land armies, we will make you bleed for every building. If you somehow conquer us completely, we will make you wish you had never found us." The transmission ended. looked around his command center. His officers appeared as confused as he felt. This was not how integrations proceeded. Species were supposed to be rational. They were supposed to choose survival. "Begin bombardment of military targets," he ordered. "Precision strikes only. We need to show them the futility of resistance without damaging valuable resources." The fleet's weapons systems activated. Energy beams lanced down from orbit, striking missile bases and military installations. The strikes were surgical, designed to eliminate threats while preserving infrastructure. But instead of surrendering, the humans did something else entirely. They began fighting back. Ancient nuclear missiles rose from hidden silos. They were too primitive to threaten the alien ships, but they served a different purpose. They carried electromagnetic pulse warheads that disrupted hegemony scanning equipment when they detonated in the upper atmosphere. Fighter jets swarmed around alien landing craft, suicide attacking with their own bodies when their weapons proved useless. Soldiers fired small arms at alien battle suits, knowing their bullets could not penetrate but continuing to fight anyway. Most disturbing of all, human civilians began forming militias. Instead of fleeing from combat zones, they moved toward them. Men, women, even children picked up weapons and joined the fight. "Commander," his tactical officer reported, "human resistance is increasing rather than decreasing. They are showing no signs of breaking morale." "How many casualties have we inflicted?" "Approximately 50,000 enemy dead, Commander, but they continue fighting at full intensity." "Could not understand it. 50,000 deaths should have broken any species' will to resist. The humans acted like they had not lost anyone at all." "What are our casualties?" he asked. The tactical officer hesitated. 17 dead, Commander, 43 wounded." This was shocking. In most integrations, hegemony forces suffered 0 casualties. The primitive weapons of newly discovered species could not harm advanced alien technology. Yet somehow, these humans had managed to kill trained hegemony soldiers. How? Suicide attacks, mostly. Humans attacking our positions with explosive devices. They seem willing to die as long as they can take one of us with them. As the weeks passed, the situation grew worse instead of better. Human resistance became more organized and more deadly. They began capturing alien weapons and turning them against their former owners. They learned to target weak points in alien armor. They developed new tactics specifically designed to kill hegemony soldiers. Most troubling of all, they never asked for mercy. They never attempted to negotiate. They simply fought with increasing skill and determination. Commander realized he had made a terrible error in judgment. These humans were not like any species the hegemony had ever encountered. They did not fight to win. They fought to ensure their enemies lost. The easy 3-week integration was entering its 3rd month, with no end in sight. 3 months had passed since the first alien ships arrived. Commander stared at the casualty reports with growing concern. What should have been a quick victory had become a grinding war of attrition. Human resistance grew stronger each week instead of weaker. "Status report," he demanded from his tactical officer. "Our ground forces control approximately 30% of the major population centers, Commander. However, human resistance continues in all occupied zones. We are losing an average of 12 soldiers per day." 12 soldiers per day. In 3 months, the hegemony had lost over 1,000 trained warriors to a species that was supposed to be primitive and weak. The numbers made no sense. What about their military capabilities? "Humans are adapting faster than predicted, Commander. They have learned to modify our weapons for their own use. They have developed new tactics that exploit weaknesses in our armor. Most concerning, they appear to be improving their technology at an impossible rate." Pulled up examples on his screen. Human fighters that had been using chemical propulsion last month were now flying with modified alien engines. Human soldiers who had carried projectile weapons were now armed with energy rifles clearly built from captured hegemony equipment. But the modifications were wrong. The humans had not simply alien technology, they had improved it. Human weapons fired faster, hit harder, and used less energy than the original designs. It should not have been possible. "How are they doing this?" the commander asked. "Unknown, Commander. Our scientists believe humans have some form of intuitive understanding of technology. They appear to see improvements that our own engineers missed." The answer came in fragments over the following weeks. Captured human documents revealed a disturbing truth. While the hegemony had been observing humanity during their period of peace, humans had not been peaceful at all. They had been preparing. The Cold War had ended only recently. For decades, both human superpowers had developed weapons and tactics designed to fight enemies with superior technology. They had planned for nuclear war, invasion, and the complete breakdown of civilization. When aliens arrived, humans simply activated plans they had spent generations perfecting. More troubling were the locations humans had chosen for their hidden bases, deep underground facilities that hegemony scanners could not detect, submarine bases hidden beneath polar ice, mountain strongholds carved into solid rock. The humans had been preparing for war while appearing to be at peace. "Commander," his communications officer interrupted, "we are receiving reports from across the system. Human ships have been detected near our mining operations." "Impossible. Humans do not have interplanetary capability." "They do now, Commander. Our observers report vessels of unknown design approaching asteroid mining platforms. The ships appear to be using modified hegemony engines." Felt a cold chill. In 3 months, humans had not only learned to fight alien ground forces, they had reverse-engineered alien technology well enough to build their own spacecraft. The speed of their advancement, all known patterns of technological development. The first attack on hegemony mining operations came without warning. Human ships approached the asteroid facility broadcasting standard hegemony identification codes. The aliens assumed the ships were their own until weapons fire erupted from vessels that should not have existed. The mining platform was destroyed in minutes. 200 alien workers died in the attack. The human ships escaped before hegemony patrol vessels could respond. "How did they get our identification codes?" demanded. "We believe they have been monitoring our communications, Commander. They may have been listening for months without our knowledge." The implications were staggering. If humans had been intercepting alien communications, they knew everything. Troop movements, supply schedules, strategic plans. The hegemony had been fighting blind while their enemy could see everything. Then came the atrocity that changed everything. As human resistance continued to grow, hegemony forces began suffering severe supply shortages. Food, ammunition, and medical supplies had to be shipped from distant star systems. To reduce costs, the alien high command decided to send a message that would break human morale permanently. A convoy of human civilian ships had been detected fleeing from one of the major combat zones. The ships were clearly marked as evacuation vessels, carrying refugees from the devastated cities. Most of the passengers were children, elderly civilians, and wounded soldiers who could no longer fight. The hegemony fleet commander made a decision that would haunt the galaxy for generations to come. He ordered the civilian convoy destroyed to demonstrate the consequences of continued resistance. The alien ships opened fire on unarmed vessels carrying thousands of innocent people. The humans had no way to defend themselves. Parents died shielding their children. Medical staff died trying to treat the wounded. The evacuation ships burned in the vacuum of space while alien crews watched. Video of the attack spread across every human communication network within hours. The footage showed children crying over dead parents. It showed medical ships marked with red crosses being targeted deliberately. It showed the face of humanity's enemy without any disguise or pretense. Something fundamental changed in the human response after that day. The desperate resistance that had characterized the first 3 months of the war transformed into something much more dangerous. The humans stopped fighting like defenders and began fighting like exterminators. Underground facilities that had been producing weapons began producing something else entirely. Human scientists working around the clock developed technologies that should have taken decades to perfect. The modifications to captured alien equipment became more sophisticated and more deadly. Most disturbing of all, humans began displaying coordination that seemed impossible for their species. Every resistance cell, every hidden base, every scattered group of fighters began working together with precision that would have impressed hegemony military planners. Commander received reports of attacks across the entire system. His supply convoys were being hunted by human ships that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. His communication networks were being jammed by signals that originated from locations his sensors could not detect. His troops were facing weapons that fired projectiles capable of penetrating advanced alien armor. "Sir," his science officer reported with fear in his voice, "I have been analyzing captured human equipment. They are not just modifying our technology anymore." "What do you mean?" "They are creating new technology, Commander. Weapons and devices that our own scientists cannot fully understand. In some cases, their equipment appears to be more advanced than ours." The word struck like a physical blow. In 3 months, humans had advanced from primitive chemical rockets to technology that surpassed galactic standards. It was impossible, but the evidence was overwhelming. "Request immediate reinforcements," he ordered. "Full battle fleet, emergency priority." "Sir, the Hegemony Council may ask for justification." Looked at the tactical display showing human forces across the solar system. Red dots marked enemy positions on every planet, asteroid, and space station. What had started as a simple pacification mission had become a war for survival. "Tell them we are not fighting a primitive species," he said quietly. "We are fighting something else entirely, something we have awakened by attacking their young. Tell them we may have made the greatest mistake in galactic history." The message went out to Hegemony Space, requesting reinforcements to deal with an unexpected level of resistance. The Council approved additional forces, assuming their local commander was simply being cautious. They had no idea that humanity was already preparing for the larger battle to come. While hegemony reinforcements traveled toward Earth, human shipyards hidden throughout the solar system worked at maximum capacity. The species that had been considered primitive was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about the true meaning of technological advancement. The war was about to enter a new phase, and humanity was ready. The hegemony reinforcements arrived 6 months after the initial invasion. Commander watched 5 additional dreadnoughts drop out of faster-than-light travel, along with 24 support vessels. It was the largest force ever assembled for a single planetary integration. Fleet Admiral and took command immediately. The massive alien stood over 2 meters tall, with battle scars covering his armored hide. He had conquered 15 systems for the hegemony and never experienced defeat. "Commander," the Admiral's voice boomed through the communication system. "Explain how a single primitive planet has required 6 months to pacify." Chose his words carefully. "Admiral, our intelligence was flawed. These humans are not primitive. They have capabilities we did not anticipate." "Such as?" "Rapid technological advancement, Admiral. Perfect coordination despite having no central command structure. Willingness to sacrifice themselves in numbers we have never encountered. Most importantly, they appear to learn and adapt faster than any species we have." Admiral and reviewed the casualty reports with growing anger. Over 2,000 dead soldiers, fighting creatures that should barely be able to harm our equipment. This is unacceptable, Commander. Yes, Admiral, but there is worse news. The humans have been building ships. The Admiral's four eyes widened. Building ships with what technology? Combinations of their own innovations and modified hegemony equipment, Admiral. Our analysis suggests their vessels may be superior to ours in several categories. Impossible, show me. Activated the tactical display. Red markers appeared throughout the solar system, representing known human positions. The Admiral stared in disbelief at the scope of human activity. These readings cannot be correct. There are enemy positions on every planet, every moon, every major asteroid. How many ships do they have? Unknown, Admiral. They appear to be building new vessels faster than we can track them. We estimate at least 300 combat-capable ships, with production continuing at multiple hidden facilities. Admiral N was silent for several minutes. In his experience, newly discovered species typically had fewer than 50 spacecraft total. The humans had built a fleet from nothing in 6 months. Begin immediate fleet-wide scanning, he ordered. I want every human ship located and destroyed. This ends today. But as the hegemony fleet began their scans, they discovered the first sign of how completely the situation had changed. Their sensors, which should have provided detailed information about every object in the system, were being blocked. Admiral, the sensor operator, reported with confusion in his voice. I am detecting massive interference with our scanning systems. What kind of interference? Unknown, sir. Something is jamming our sensors across multiple frequencies. The interference appears to be coming from everywhere at once. Admiral N felt the first stirring of concern. Sensor jamming required advanced technology and perfect coordination. Neither should have been possible for a species that had been using chemical rockets 6 months earlier. Switch to backup sensors. Use passive detection. The backup systems provided limited information, but what they revealed was even more disturbing. The human ships were not where the intelligence reports had predicted they would be. Instead, they were arranged in patterns that suggested complex tactical planning. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the humans. Put it through. The main screen showed a human face. Unlike the previous spokesman, this one appeared to be young, with short brown hair and cold eyes. When it spoke, its voice carried absolute confidence. I am Captain Sarah of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have entered human space without permission. You have attacked our worlds and murdered our people. You have exactly 1 hour to begin withdrawing from our system. Admiral N laughed. You dare threaten us. We have 8 dreadnoughts and supporting vessels. Your primitive ships cannot harm us. The human's expression did not change. Admiral, you are operating under incorrect assumptions about our capabilities. We are no longer the species you first encountered. We have improved. You cannot improve enough in 6 months to challenge galactic technology. Watch and learn. The transmission ended. Admiral N ordered immediate attack formation. The hegemony fleet moved toward the largest concentration of human ships, confident that superior firepower would end the resistance quickly. The first indication that something was wrong came when human ships began appearing from locations where sensors showed empty space. Ships that had been completely invisible suddenly materialized around the hegemony fleet. How are they hiding from our scanners? The Admiral demanded. Unknown, sir. They appear to be using some form of stealth technology. The second indication came when human weapons opened fire. The energy beams that struck hegemony ships were not the primitive projectiles intelligence had described. They were focused energy weapons that punched through alien shields as if they did not exist. Shields failing on Dreadnought 3, Tactical reported. Direct hull damage. How is this possible? Admiral and watched in growing horror as human weapons systematically overwhelmed ships that should have been invulnerable. The energy output from human vessels exceeded anything in hegemony records. Their targeting systems were more accurate than alien computers. Their coordination was perfect. Return fire, all ships maximum firepower. The hegemony fleet unleashed everything they had. Enough energy to sterilize a continent lanced out toward the human ships, but instead of destroying the enemy, the weapons passed through empty space. The human vessels had moved with impossible speed, escaping destruction by margins measured in fractions of seconds. Sir, enemy ships are moving faster than our tracking systems can follow. That is impossible. No ship can accelerate that quickly without killing the crew. The humans appear to have solved that problem, Admiral. As the battle continued, the true scope of human advancement became clear. Their ships were not only faster and more heavily armed than hegemony vessels, they were also more maneuverable. Human pilots performed turns that should have any organic crew, yet continued fighting at full effectiveness. More disturbing still, human tactics were unlike anything the hegemony had encountered. Instead of fighting like a traditional space navy, they fought like a pack of predators. Individual ships coordinated attacks with split-second timing. They used the local environment to their advantage, hiding behind asteroids and using planetary gravity to accelerate beyond normal speeds. Admiral, we have lost Dreadnought 7. Direct hit to the main reactor. All hands lost. Admiral and stared at the tactical display in disbelief. A dreadnought represented the peak of hegemony military technology. They were designed to be invulnerable to anything primitive species could produce. Yet the humans had destroyed one in minutes. How many enemy ships have we destroyed? None, Admiral. Our targeting systems cannot lock onto them long enough to score effective hits. The battle that should have been a quick victory turned into a rout. One by one, hegemony ships suffered critical damage. Human vessels swarmed around the alien fleet like insects, striking from unexpected angles and vanishing before return fire could find them. Admiral, we are receiving surrender demands from the humans. Admiral N's pride warred with survival instinct. He had never surrendered in his entire military career, but he had also never faced an enemy that outclassed him so completely. Sir, Dreadnought 2 is breaking apart. We have lost half our escort vessels. If we do not withdraw immediately, the entire fleet will be destroyed. The Admiral looked around his command center. His officers stared at him with fear and confusion. They had entered the battle expecting easy victory against primitive opponents. Instead, they faced enemies who fought with technology superior to their own. All ships, emergency withdrawal. Jump to hyperspace immediately. Sir, the humans are jamming our hyperspace communications. We cannot coordinate a fleet jump. Then each ship escapes individually. Retreat order, emergency priority. The surviving hegemony vessels fled the battlefield in disorder. Behind them, human ships did not pursue. Instead, they regrouped with the same perfect coordination they had shown throughout the fight. As Admiral N's command ship limped toward the edge of the system, he tried to process what had happened. In 6 months, humanity had not only resisted hegemony conquest, they had surpassed hegemony technology completely. Send message to High Command, he ordered with defeat in his voice. Priority 1 emergency. The Earth mission has failed, requesting immediate evacuation of all forces from human space. What should we tell them about the humans, Admiral? Admiral N looked back at Earth through his ship's sensors. The blue-green planet that had seemed so defenseless was now the heart of a military power unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Tell them we have awakened something terrible. Tell them the humans are no longer the species we first encountered. Tell them we may have created the next galactic superpower through our own stupidity. The message went out to hegemony space, warning of humanity's unexpected capabilities. But it was already too late. The war was not ending. It was expanding. Human ships were preparing for operations beyond their own star system. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity decided to take the offensive. News of the defeat at Earth spread through hegemony space like wildfire. For the first time in their history, a hegemony fleet had been completely routed by a species they had classified as primitive. The impossible had happened, and the consequences were immediate. High Counselor Axe convened an emergency session of the Hegemony Ruling Council. The ancient alien's multiple eyes scanned the assembled leaders with barely controlled panic. "Explain to me how 8 dreadnoughts were defeated by chemical rockets and kinetic weapons," he demanded. Admiral N stood before the council, his battle-scarred form somehow diminished by defeat. "Counselor, the humans no longer use chemical rockets. Their technology has advanced beyond our own in critical areas. Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful, and their tactics superior to anything we have encountered. You are telling me that in 6 months, a primitive species surpassed 10,000 years of hegemony development?" "Yes, Counselor. Not only surpassed it, but improved upon captured technology in ways our own scientists cannot understand. The humans appear to have an intuitive grasp of engineering that defies explanation." The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Species that had served the hegemony for centuries began questioning their loyalty. If humans could defeat the supposedly invincible fleet, perhaps other rebellions were possible. "Silence," Counselor Axe commanded. "What are the humans doing now?" "Unknown, Counselor. Our reconnaissance ships have been ordered to avoid human space entirely. However, we have detected massive industrial activity throughout their system. They appear to be building something on an enormous scale." "More ships." "Ships, space stations, manufacturing facilities. Intelligence estimates suggest they have increased their industrial output by over 3,000% since the conflict began." The numbers made no sense. No species could expand their manufacturing capability so rapidly. It should have taken decades to build the infrastructure for such growth, yet the humans had accomplished it in months. What the Council did not know was that humanity had made a collective decision after the first alien attack. Every nation, every corporation, every individual had committed to a single goal: ensuring that no species would ever again threaten Earth or its people. The technological advances that had amazed the hegemony were only the beginning. Human scientists working around the clock had not simply improved alien technology. They had revolutionary new theories about physics, engineering, and space travel. More importantly, they had learned the locations of every hegemony world through captured navigation data. While the aliens debated how to respond to their defeat, humanity was preparing for war on a galactic scale. The first human ships appeared in hegemony space 3 months after Admiral N's retreat. They were not the modified alien vessels the Council expected. These ships were purely human design, incorporating technologies that should not have been possible. The initial targets were carefully chosen: remote mining colonies and supply depots with minimal defenses. The attacks came without warning and ended within minutes. Human forces arrived, destroyed all military installations, and vanished before reinforcements could respond. But the humans did not behave like typical conquerors. After destroying hegemony military forces, they broadcast messages to the civilian populations of conquered worlds. "You are no longer slaves of the hegemony," the transmissions declared. "Humanity offers you a choice: join our coalition as free and equal partners, or remain neutral and be protected from hegemony retaliation. We do not seek to rule you, we seek to free you." The effect was immediate and devastating to hegemony authority. Species that had been conquered generations ago suddenly realized that resistance was possible. Rebellions erupted across dozens of worlds. The hegemony found themselves fighting not just humans, but their own former subjects. Send the entire battle fleet to crush these uprisings, Counselor Axe ordered. Show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. But when the hegemony fleets arrived at rebellious worlds, they found human ships waiting for them. Every battle ended the same way. Superior human technology and tactics destroyed alien forces completely. Not a single human ship was lost in any engagement. More disturbing still, human forces began appearing at core hegemony worlds. Ships materialized from hyperspace directly above planetary capitals, broadcasting surrender demands to governments that had never known defeat. The attack on Hegemony Prime came exactly 1 year after the first invasion of Earth. Human ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation around the Hegemony capital world. Their vessels outnumbered the home fleet by 10 to 1. Captain Sarah, now promoted to Admiral, appeared on every communication channel simultaneously. Her message was simple and direct. Leaders of the former galactic hegemony, you will surrender immediately and submit to judgment for crimes against peaceful civilizations. You have 1 hour to comply. Counselor Axe activated the planetary defenses. Massive energy cannons designed to destroy entire fleets opened fire on the human ships. The weapons that could shatter moons struck human shields and simply vanished, absorbed by technology that made hegemony science look primitive. Return fire, Admiral ordered calmly. What happened next demonstrated the true extent of human advancement. Instead of destroying hegemony cities, human weapons targeted specific buildings with surgical precision. Government facilities, military bases, and communication centers were reduced to rubble while civilian areas remained untouched. The bombardment lasted exactly 10 minutes. When it ended, the hegemony government had ceased to exist as a functioning entity. Every military installation on the planet was destroyed. Every government leader was either dead or captured. But the humans did not stop with victory. As their ships landed on Hegemony Prime, they brought supplies rather than occupation forces. Food, medical equipment, and construction materials to help rebuild what the war had destroyed. Attention former hegemony citizens, Admiral broadcasted to the planet. You are now free. The age of slavery and exploitation has ended. Humanity offers you membership in the Galactic Coalition of Free Worlds. You will have equal representation in our government. You will keep all resources from your worlds. You will be protected from anyone who tries to conquer you again. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on hundreds of worlds. The hegemony collapsed not through destruction, but through defection. Species after species chose to join the human coalition rather than fight for their former oppressors. Within 2 years, the galactic hegemony had been completely replaced by the human coalition. But unlike the empire it replaced, the coalition was truly democratic. Every member species had equal votes in the governing council. Resources were shared fairly. No world was forced to provide labor or tribute to others. Most importantly, the coalition's military served only one purpose: defending member worlds from external threats. They would never again allow any species to prey upon the innocent. Admiral stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense station, looking out at the stars that now held thousands of free worlds. The blue-green planet below showed signs of recovery from the alien invasion. Cities had been rebuilt. Forests were growing again where battles had raged. Admiral, her communications officer, reported. Long-range sensors are detecting unknown ships at the edge of our space. They appear to be from beyond the galactic rim. Another would-be conqueror, Admiral asked. Unknown, Admiral, but their technology appears to be significantly advanced. Admiral smiled. In the 5 years since humanity had joined the galactic community, they had never stopped improving their technology. The ships that had defeated the hegemony were now obsolete, replaced by vessels that made the original human fleet look primitive. "Send a standard first contact message," she ordered. "Inform them that this region of space is protected by the Galactic Coalition of Free Worlds. If they come in peace, they are welcome. If they come as conquerors, they will learn the same lesson the hegemony learned." As the message went out to the unknown visitors, Admiral reflected on the changes humanity had brought to the galaxy. Where once there had been slavery, now there was freedom. Where once there had been exploitation, now there was cooperation. Where once there had been fear, now there was hope. The massive galactic error was complete. In trying to enslave humanity, the hegemony had unleashed the one force that would transform civilization itself. They had awakened a sleeping giant that valued freedom above all else, and possessed the technology and determination to defend it. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere in the vast darkness of space, other potential conquerors learned a simple lesson that would echo through the stars for generations to come. There are old civilizations and there are bold civilizations, but there are very few civilizations foolish enough to anger humans and live to regret it. The age of human anger had ended. The age of human justice had begun.